Welcome, welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me. We have a awesome show planned for you today. We're going to talk some about Bill Belichick and a Washington Post story that has come out about Bill Belichick. I'm going to connect it to the P. Diddy trial, and I'm going to open the show with a discussion about how we got here and what's going on with men. And to take someone like Bill Belichick, one of the most iconic figures in all of sports, in all of male discipleship, in all of coaching and leadership, and to see this crash landing that's going on with Bill Belichick, I'm going to connect it to what we're learning in the Diddy trial, that there's a connection between Bill Belichick and P. Diddy. We'll do that for a bit. Then we'll bring Skap Attack in, and Skap and I will talk about Stephen A. Smith playing the race card on Cooper Flagg and how Dallas has to take Cooper Flagg because he's white. It's a ridiculous comment, but it's standard procedure at ESPN in the sports media discussion. And then we'll also talk with Skap about the Golden State Warriors losing last night to the Minnesota Timberwolves and whether or not the Steph Curry era in Golden State is over. Should they move on from that? And then I'm going to end the show talking a little bit about Dave Portnoy and Shannon Sharpe. They had some comments about me, brief comments yesterday about me on the Club Shay Shay podcast, Club Shay Shay podcast. And they released the highlights for me. Anyway, so I'll end the show with some brief comments on that. And then on the Harmony channel, I will discuss this whole thing that came out of nowhere seemingly yesterday or the day before, that resurfaced. This whole thing about, hey, let's parole Derek Chauvin. And Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, has been in meetings making preparations for a pardon, a federal pardon. This came from out of nowhere. I'm going to connect that to Carmelo Anthony getting to graduate from high school. Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player, but the 17-year-old killer of Austin Metcalf. I'm going to, these race bait topics. Derek Chauvin, let's parole him federally, even though he can't get out of a state prison, how that story just comes out of nowhere. And then Carmelo Anthony is getting to graduate from high school, and that seems odd and strange since he's accused of murdering a 17-year-old high school student. Anyway, we'll discuss that on the Harmony channel probably around 11:30 today. So anyway, awesome show planned for you today. I want to thank our friends at Preborn. You guys know here at Fearless, part of our life mission is to support the worldview that life begins at conception, because that's a foundational worldview that powers the rest of your worldview. No organization does a better job of supporting that worldview than Preborn. Preborn provides expectant mothers who are considering abortion, provides them an ultrasound. Once that woman hears that baby's heartbeat, once she sees a sonogram image of that baby, she now understands that there's a life, a human being, not a fetus, not a clump of cells, but a human being in her womb. And now she's more than twice as likely to choose life. Preborn does amazing work. They've saved more than 250,000 babies. We here at Fearless, I got to talk to Dan Steiner a couple of weeks ago right here in Nashville, and he continues to tell us that the fearless support of Preborn has been amazing. We're having impact. We're saving thousands of babies' lives. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this cause. We need to continue. We need to step up. I give monthly. You should too. Once a month, put a smile on your own face, put a smile on God's face. Please God by serving life and saving life. And so there's two ways to give. There's pound 250 on your smartphone, say the keyword baby, pound 250 keyword baby, or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless, preborn.com/fearless. Nothing better you can do. Make yourself feel good, put a smile on God's face, and save a baby's life. It's just $28 for an ultrasound. 5 ultrasounds, $140. Whatever you can afford to give, even if it's only $2.80. But I know you can give more. Let's give to Preborn. Let's continue supporting our worldview. All right, let's get into today's show as it relates to Bill Belichick and this Washington Post story that I read this morning. I want to read you a couple of excerpts, and I hope you guys are ready because I screwed up and minimized my screen, and now yes, I did. I minimized the wrong screen, and now I don't have the article called up, but I'm going to recall it up here in a second. But thank you. Here's it's a story that starts out with no cooperation from Bill Belichick or Jordan Hudson, but there is some reporting. Jordan Hudson was participating in a Miss Maine contest that Bill Belichick attended. The reporter went there and then wrote this entire story, a pretty long story, about Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson and how Jordan Hudson's kind of making a mess of Belichick's legacy, reputation, and PR. And there's some anonymous quotes or quotes from unnamed sources at North Carolina that paint a pretty bad picture like, man, this is going to be a crash landing. Jordan Hudson, 24 years old, a cheerleader, still involved to some degree with cheerleading, still involved with beauty pageants. A young child has been invited into Bill Belichick's life and playing a critical role in Bill Belichick's life. And so let me call up the second quote that I sent you first, not this one. Let me call up the second one that I sent you. This I thought was a key excerpt in this story. And this is about Belichick went on CBS Morning News and was getting interviewed about his book. And if you remember everybody talking about it, Jordan Hudson interrupts and says, hey, we don't want to talk about that, or we're not talking about this as it relates to how they met. And that was a part of a book promotion that Belichick has out about his father and about his coaching legacy and career. Well, that's all been overshadowed by his relationship with this 24-year-old woman. And the book is not selling. But Bill Belichick, again, here he is basically the Tom Landry, the Vince Lombardi of his era, the winningest Super Bowl winningest coach in the history of the National Football League, trails only Don Shula in terms of number of wins in the NFL. By all accounts, Bill Belichick is the most legendary football coach in the history of football. And he's put out a book that will not sell, and it's because his legacy right now is trash. He's undermined his entire legacy, and part of it has been when he ran off Tom Brady and things didn't go well for the 2 or 3 years he coached after post-Tom Brady, and then he gets fired. But a big part of it is Bill Belichick is making a fool of himself with this 24-year-old sugar baby. And so they write in the Washington Post, as the May 6th book release approached, promotion slowed to nothing. Pre-sales underperformed, the person said. The clip of Hudson attempting to control a puff piece interview had overshadowed the contents, if not the existence, of Belichick's book. And then they quote an anonymous source. She's not good at what she's trying to do, the person said. And how could she be? She's 24. That pretty much summarizes the position Belichick has put himself in. He is right now living the purposeless driven life. And when I say purposeless driven life, what I'm talking about is what's happened to a lot of men. And this is where Diddy connects into this. If you've been paying attention to the Diddy trial, at no time, I believe, in the history of mankind or at least in the last 200 years. This is my belief. You all correct me if I'm wrong, please. And I say that in all seriousness. Send me an email, fearlessblazeshow@gmail. Hop in the chat. Get my attention in some way. Shamika, whoever's paying attention to the chat, maybe someone has a conflicting narrative than what I'm about to present. But at no time in the past 200 years, I'll just go back that far, have men been more controlled by their sexual lust than we are today. And we have no purpose. We are purposeless. Rick Warren, the minister, wrote the book, The Purpose-Driven Life. We are now living in the purposeless-driven life era, where men think constantly about sexual conquest. And some of you are saying, well, that's not me. I don't. And I'm like, yes. Even those of you that are living a righteous life, you're thinking more about sex than at any time, I believe, in the past 200 years, and I believe longer, but I'm just going to limit it to 200 years. And much of this is outside of your control. It's 200 years ago, 100 years ago, we didn't have these smartphones. We didn't have little laptops that we carried around that put sexual content in our face constantly. And I know some of you are like, hey, I'm not on those apps. I'm not on Pornhub. I'm not on these social media apps. But more men are, and even if you're not, let's say you just like to go to ESPN and check scores. Let's just say you like to shop at Amazon online. Anytime you hop on the internet in ways that you're not even fully aware of, there's sexual content and sexual innuendo being floated into your brain. The technological advances that we're all living in, the ease with which life is lived now, frees the mind for more lustful thinking, more idle thought, more just sinful thought. And so I just want you to think about, let's go back 150 years, when if you wanted to eat, you had to hunt and farm. And that took up a great deal of time in your day. There was less time for idle thought when you were out in the field plowing or you were out in the woods hunting and fishing. And travel was much slower. And so if you wanted to go into town to buy, flour and corn or whatever, that was an adventure. That was time consuming. That was effort consuming. Now we have to put a lot less effort into survival. And so now we have more free time. We're less worried about survival and we're more worried about entertaining ourselves, even when we're on our job. Right now, I'm doing a show. I'm talking to you, having a conversation, but I have my laptop open. There's a chance at some point during this show that I may hop on Twitter or X or Instagram or something, Facebook. I could hop on ESPN.com to check a score or to check a stat. And there's a good chance that when I'm there, there's going to be some woman in a bikini or scantily clad, or there's going to be some P. Diddy type story. Did you hear the latest in the Diddy trial? There's going to be more talk of sex and entertaining yourself through sex. And so you look at a guy like Bill Belichick, 73 years old, incredibly accomplished. And you wonder, how is he throwing his legacy away over a 24-year-old child? How? He's like everybody else. He's dealing with far more sexual temptation than man has, in my view, at any time in the last 200 years. Because if 10 hours of your day in the 1840s was farming, hunting, traveling into town, doing the work necessary to survive, and that work tired you out and made you like, man, I need 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And if there wasn't Match.com or ChristianMingle.com or all this or this easy travel, hey, you know, if I want to go flirt with a group of women, I can hop in my car and I can reach a nightclub, a bar, a restaurant, I can go somewhere, and within 5 to 10 minutes, I could be there and be flirting with someone else and then drive back home, and my wife will have no idea, where'd you go? Where'd you do? We didn't have that then. We had things to do. There was a purpose to all of man and woman's existence and survival. That took work. We've removed much of the work of survival, and now we all have idle time, and an idle mind is the devil's playpen. And so when I look at Bill Belichick and say, how did this 73-year-old guy with millions of dollars and a great legacy, how did he get coupled up with a 24-year-old and throw away his entire reputation? How did this happen? It happened because his mind is idle. It happened because there's more sex has been so centered. You can't turn on the TV without some sex scene in a movie or television show. It's everywhere. I think about the interview that I did with E. Michael Jones and his book, Libido Dominandi, and how sexual liberation is a tool of control. And I look at the people that are arguing that we need to ban pornography. And I look at the libertarian-minded or the progressive-minded people that are like, hey, no, we just need to let people do whatever they want to do, and if it's two consenting adults, who cares? Well, there's a reason why we should care. Because we're undermining male leadership. We're undermining purpose by allowing and by centering all of this sexual conquest and men judging each other and judging their level of happiness based off of how much sexual conquest can they achieve. Men used to judge them, can I be an innovator? Can I provide for my family? Can I, execute some vision and accomplish some great goal? Can I achieve something that no man has ever achieved? Hey, I'm going to invent flying. I'm going to lay railroad tracks all the way from Pennsylvania to Detroit so that we can travel there easier. All of these great accomplishments that people used to have goals and they'd have a purpose. And now I'm sitting here and I ask the question of myself. Everything that I'm talking about is things that I struggle with, and any man that is real with himself, he struggles with this. This pleasuring, this instant gratification, this sexual desire that's been so centered, and we can't take our minds off of it. And so I look at someone like Bill Belichick, and I'm not, obviously P. Diddy has been charged with some serious crimes and is a different level or a different kind of immorality as Bill Belichick. But I'm not so sure if they're really disconnected. And I know we're early in the Diddy trial. But that Diddy trial sounds like they want to put Diddy away for being a bad human being, not for being a criminal. Because, all this salacious stuff that's coming out about Diddy and baby oil and this Cassie Ventura, none of this stuff seems to be being unpacked in real context. Diddy is just another super wealthy, famous man who got lost in his sexual lust and sexual desire. And it's maybe not to the degree of Diddy, but it's happening to all men. And women know it. Women are using it to usurp authority and leadership from men. Obviously, the entire Me Too movement and the disqualification and the diminishing of male authority is all attached to, hey, men are sexual predators, men exploit their power, men take advantage of women. And it's no different when I made the point about, and I'm not trying to disparage this person, but I'm just keeping it real. It's like the Julie Stewart-Binks woman, the woman that filed a lawsuit against Fox Sports 1 and Charlie Dixon and, has portrayed herself as, oh, I went up to Charlie Dixon's hotel room after having drinks with him, and I had no idea that he wanted to have sex with me. I had no idea that he would try to kiss me. And this man trying to kiss me ruined my entire career. Now give me millions of dollars. Women know exactly what they're doing. Women know exactly what time we're living in. Women know how weak we are as men and how much sexuality has been centered and everyone running around half naked in America. And we just, and part of my mind as I think about Belichick, as I think about Diddy, and not that I'm being sympathetic to these guys, but part of what I legitimately have had questions in my own mind about, like, man, maybe these people that are saying put these burqas on, maybe they got a point. Maybe the only way to fix the fall of American society and global society, the only way to restore to make America great again, you got to make America moral again. And the only way that may happen is if we put some real hardcore rules and stipulations in about this sexual content that's everywhere. And again, I'm just, maybe the people that are, and I'm not suggesting it, I'm just thinking out loud. Allow me to think, allow all of us to think, allow us to talk about the uncomfortable things that may put us in a bad light. Because if you're not sitting around wondering, how do we fix this? How do we return America to any level of sanity? All options have to be on the table. And so things that may put me in a bad light, I need to be able to speak out loud and let you all push back and say, nah, that's not a good idea. That's stupid, Jason. Allow me to think and allow all of us to think about how do we fix this? Because what we're doing right now is unsustainable. If Bill Belichick, a coach that built a reputation off of, no distractions, as buttoned up and as businesslike and as in control of himself. This was his reputation. And now he has pivoted and let his smallest head make him a laughingstock. And he's doing it proudly. And many people are celebrating him for doing it. Hey, he's just having a little fun. Jason, you need to stay out of it. And they can't see the connection that if basically the Tom Landry, and many of you are sitting there, well, how do you know Tom Landry didn't have a side piece? How do you know Tom Landry wasn't doing the same thing in private? Maybe he was. But the way he was presenting himself, the way he carried himself, the way the symbol that he established for other young men, Tom Landry, the legendary Dallas Cowboys coach, came off as a symbol of morality and authority and male excellence. And now we've created a society where Bill Belichick can throw that all the way at 73, get a job coaching at a major university, discipling young men while being made a fool of by his 24-year-old sugar baby. And I'm not blaming Jordan Hudson. She's taking advantage of the society that we've created, the technological advances that we've created, and the reduction. It's like Bill Belichick has pivoted into, hey, I'm Hugh Hefner. And Hugh Hefner now gets to be a college football coach. No man has the responsibility of representing himself in a moral fashion. That's the society we've created. And if that's going to be the society that we created, there will be endless chaos. Everything that we've been talking about this week as it relates to fatigue and black fatigue and feminism and the matriarchy. Bill Belichick, this is the road to a matriarchal culture everywhere. It just won't be among the black demographic. This is the road, this is the path to the matriarchy. Women rule in this purposeless driven life that Bill Belichick is living. Women, look at this Cassie Ventura that we put on this pedestal. She's a victim. She's in court testifying to sleeping with countless numbers of men, letting them piss on her, drinking their piss. She's the heroine. She's the hero in this story. A concubine, a thought. She's got all the power. She is potentially going, and I'm not simping for Diddy. Diddy put himself in this position, but she is basically going to be in position to put Diddy in prison. This is a society and a culture that will be ruled and dominated by women. And those of you that are running around with this flawed, foolish thought that women have some special level of morality that men don't, you're lying to yourself. Go read what's being testified to in open court from Cassie Ventura and these other witnesses. These women have no special level of morality. You can make the argument they're far more immoral than us. I couldn't imagine having a daughter, a sister, a mother, sitting on a stand talking about 13, 14, 15 different dudes and 3 and 4 day freak offs where people got to do any and everything for, and her now husband is sitting there listening to this. But in this world, this purposeless driven life that we have adopted, it's going to take some real extreme measures to course correct. There's going to have to be a loss of what is being defined as freedom. We're going to have to lose some of that freedom. Just people walking around half naked everywhere, people just posting half naked pictures or naked pictures of themselves everywhere. Every time you click on Twitter and you're just scrolling down, it doesn't, and the algorithm, it gives you the content that you want. You must have clicked on something that said you wanted a bikini shot every time you scroll down Twitter. Oh, if you click on ESPN and there's a Temu ad suggesting sex, that's because you clicked on something. They're always blaming you, not the system that they created, not the culture that they created. That sex must be centered everywhere. You can't convince me that every television show must have some sex scene in order to be entertaining. This is a sexual psyop. This is being done intentionally. If you sexualize the entire culture, men will fail and fall, and more power will be handed over to women. That's how you create a matriarchal culture. And what I've been telling you on this show If you want a matriarchal culture, go look at the lab rats. Black Americans, we have a matriarchal culture. Look at our kids. You want that for all of American society? And you think, oh, well, if we just segregate or eliminate or do something about black people, it will all go away. You're kidding yourselves. You're so unbelievably naive and stupid, unread. You don't understand the big picture. Bill Belichick, what he's doing, it's just a symptom of the matriarchal culture that we've adopted and how sexual liberation is being used to slay us all. This isn't me coming from some high horse. I wrestle with this every single day. I could be as foolish and as weak as Bill Belichick. But that's why I read the Bible. That's why I talk from a biblical worldview every day, because I'm trying to talk myself into holiness and not give in and be as dumb as Bill Belichick. And all of us need to acknowledge we're all capable of being as weak as Belichick. And then now you start thinking about, well, what are the solutions? We got to ban some of this stuff, a lot of it. We have, remember when I was talking about the Legion of Decency that the Catholics used to lead? Where they're like, hey man, you can't put all this stuff in TVs and movies. We got to get back to that. We shouldn't just have on our smartphones, we shouldn't have to be ducking and diving naked women every time we get on Instagram. Well, you could set up controls for that. No, you can't. No, you can't. This is intentional. This is how they bring us all down. I wanted to get that off my chest. I hope that you understood it, but this Belichick thing has really shaken me, and the conversation we've had all week has really shaken me, because I see so much dysfunction that I'm just like, is this fixable? How could it be fixed? These problems seem so enormous. And everybody's walking around with a cell phone, a smartphone. Everybody's got an iPad. Everybody's got a laptop. Everybody's connected to the sexual matrix that they've built. And it's impacting us in ways we do understand, and for some of us in ways we don't understand. But every man is capable as being as dumb as Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick used to be a very smart, accomplished man. He now looks like a retard. He's now surrendered everything to a 24-year-old. This guy can't sell a book about coaching football because he's let his little tiny head talk him into some insanity. It can happen to you. It can happen to any of us. All right, guys, I want to thank our friends at Relief Factor. Do you wake up every morning wondering how pain is going to affect your day? Deborah Ann from Massachusetts used to, but not anymore. Let me tell you her Relief Factor story. Deborah Ann was dealing with severe hip pain. It didn't take just a toll on her every day. She had horrible time sleeping every night. She turned to Relief Factor, and after just 4 days, the pain was gone. Deborah Ann summed it up beautifully when she said, I absolutely love how I'm feeling. If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel better. I've been using it. It's been part of my journey as I address my health problems and issues, helps keep me in the gym. As you guys have heard me share, my friend Jeffrey Steele, that bikes every day, 30 miles every day. He's 63 years old. Relief Factor is his little secret weapon. It's how he stays sharp and pain-free and inflammation-free. For just $20, $19.95, you can get the 3-week quick start and find out if Relief Factor is a solution for you. Just $20. 3-week quick start. Most people within those 3 weeks, figure out, hey, this works for me, and they re-up about 70%. Some people it doesn't work for, but for $20, you can find out if you can relieve some of those aches and pains, reduce your inflammation, which is the source of most disease and poor health. 2 ways to get it. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. All right, Jay Skap Attack in a conversation about some NBA conversation. Is the Steph Curry era over? And what do we think about Stephen A. Smith playing the race card as it relates to Cooper Flagg? Next.
ESPN sucks.
To Jeff Ulbrich, I sincerely hope he whipped his kid's ass. That's an ass whip. That is a required ass whipping.
You're 100% right, but I'd like to add something. We certainly don't want to see someone with you telling folks we're not answering those questions either.
Well,
you do not.
That's where RC steps exit out the stage. I know you're.
They didn't want the distraction that they think Shedeur Sanders and the entire Sanders family was going to become. They don't have the stones in the NFL to ever say that out loud, so they hide behind other garbage. It was personal, and it was awkward to watch.
Yeah, and
this is a Bronson, a Cat Williams game, and they are going to have to find something either from OG or get somebody else going on this team to make up for something that may lack.
And that's why
ESPN sucks.
His words are obligation, no regrets in our decisions. We all want to go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom.
All right, welcome back. Jay Skap Attack, welcome back to the program. Jay, I'm going to start you off the court. Stephen A. Smith had some interesting things to say about Cooper Flagg and why the Dallas Mavericks should draft him. I know this is what ESPN does and what Stephen A. Smith does, but I find it fascinating and repulsive. Anyway, let's listen to Stephen A. Smith talk about why the Mavericks must draft Cooper Flagg.
Flagg and then everybody else. When you got somebody with that kind of potential and they're white and you are in America, you keep that dude. You keep him. I'm telling you right now, with my black self, I'm the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. I ain't thinking about drafting somebody else. I'm not thinking about moving Cooper Flagg. I'm grabbing Cooper Flagg. He's the #1 overall pick. I mean, just think about the marketing. Do you know I saw some commercial? I forgot whether it was a commercial, an endorsement deal, or whatever. Do you know he had the American flag behind him? Just think about that. Think about the marketability. I'm not talking about just keeping him because he's white. I'm saying the brother can play. He's a special talent. And then when you think about it, they just let go of Luka. So you can't let go. And let's call it what it is. Jerry Jones taught me this. This is what I learned from him. When I say this kind of stuff, I get this kind of stuff from Jerry Jones. When I say, we're talking about Texas. That's Jerry Jones right there. That's what Jerry Jones reminded me. This is Texas. It's a little bit different. True story. This actually happened. I'm in Austin, Texas last year, South by Southwest. I'm in my hotel room. I've never seen this happen in my life. I'm watching an episode of Martin. Martin Lawrence, great comedic genius that he is. And in the middle of the episode, the program gets interrupted so they can air the national anthem with the American flag on the screen. I've never seen that happen in my life. It was on television. That's what happened, okay? Texas is different. And in Dallas, Texas, if you got an opportunity to get Cooper Flagg, you take Cooper Flagg, especially when you just let go of Luka Doncic. And especially when everybody's talking about him, best potential to be the best white American player since Larry Bird. Yes, you keep that pick. I ain't got no problems with it.
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach, Stephen A., to why the Mavericks, I think, are going to do this.
He's putting Windhorst and Chris Russo in an incredible position. I don't understand why ESPN allows this, other than obviously they're in the racial division business like a lot of the rest of the media. But is there any truth, any substance to what Stephen A. Smith just said there?
Wow, Jason. Yeah, that was poor Brian Windhorst there. He wanted absolutely no part of that, following up with with those comments from Stephen A. Smith. Look, I think there is, for whatever reason, this undeniable urge or push for ESPN to utilize this race baiting tactics. They did it throughout the 2023 MVP race between Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. In my ultimate naivete, I just think of sports as, quite frankly, for any job, any position in the world, I wish that it was just, merit-based. But sports, to me, are the ultimate merit-based entity, really. When you think of the best, it should just be dictated by the best. The best should be the ones playing. The best should be the ones picked. The best should be the ones dictating, the merchandising dollars and so forth and so on. I, for whatever reason, again, I'd call it maybe naivete, that I just am colorblind when it comes to sports. I understand perhaps maybe if we were talking 15-ish years ago, maybe the desire to have some kind of a white player in the spotlight in the NBA. But we've had it. For 5 years, the best player in the NBA has been Nikola Jokic by a wide margin. So I don't really understand, what this take is pertaining to Cooper Flagg. I think Dallas should keep it, even though Dallas would have us believe that they're trying to win right now. So Cooper Flagg doesn't necessarily meet that time frame. I think it would make more sense to try to get Giannis Antetokounmpo to pair with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, two other guys in their 30s. Giannis will be 31 next year. Those guys all sync up in their early 30s. However, if it were me, would be keeping Cooper Flagg, because I've said on this show before, he is a generational talent. He goes right up there this century with players the likes of LeBron James and Victor Wembanyama. He just did some pre-draft workouts the other day. His three-point shooting was spot on. His mid-range drills were good. He posted a 36-inch max vertical leap. He really shined in this, I think it's called a pro line drill. It looks like the cone shuttle drill in the NFL combine. If you've seen that, it gauges quickness, burst, acceleration, and essentially in the NBA combine, it measures your defensive ability. It's a drill generally dominated by smaller guard-like players, and he posted a top 10 time yesterday. And this kid, he's 6'9", 225. He doesn't even turn 19 until December. He should really have only been a senior in high school this year. The kid is the absolute real deal. I think there's undeniable parallels between him and Jason Tatum. And I think that this kid has the potential to be better than Jason Tatum. Tatum, who, yes, he right now is in the news because
Skap, you got to tighten up, bro. I'm going to give you the ball right back, but you got to tighten up. Let me pass the ball back and forth to you. Let's do the three-man weave, not go 1-on-5. But let me, because you said a mouthful that some of it I want to disagree with. I think Cooper Flagg is really good. I just don't see the LeBron James, the Wembanyama can't miss aspect of, and I know he had a good freshman year. He's National Player of the Year, but college basketball is so watered down. I'm just not sure if he's can't miss.
Well, Jason, he does not possess the athleticism, obviously, that LeBron James had at that stage. He doesn't have the elite size. And, Wembanyama is an absolute freak. I think his wingspan is like 7'6". He's 7'4". He has guard-like skills to some degree. He can shoot from anywhere. And defensively, he is next level. But when you look at Flagg, he's bigger. He might not have the frontline athleticism of LeBron James, but he's going to be bigger. He's 6'9", like I said. He's just 18. He might get, another inch or two.
What's his elite skill? What? And I know he's young, but what's his elite skill? Because it's like with Larry Bird, it's like, man, this dude shoots the lights out and has incredible vision and passing skill. And so the fact that Larry wasn't an elite athlete was compensated for elite shooting and elite vision and passing skills. What's Cooper Flagg's? He seems really good at a lot of things. I don't know what he's elite at.
Well, I think when you look, to me, the top 4 players in the NBA, I mean, there's a substantial drop off from the top 4 to the top 5, or to the 5th guy, whoever you want to argue the 5th guy is. But right now, in some combination, in some order, regardless of what order you want to argue for, I would say it's Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. So 2 of those guys, I mean, Shai isn't like a blow your mind, leap off of the screen athlete. Giannis Antetokounmpo is, but Nikola Jokic, who to me is by far the best, is quite frankly not great athletically. He's strong, he's powerful, he's durable, but like in terms of his raw speed, jumping ability, like certainly not there. When he was drafted 41st overall during a freaking Taco Bell commercial on ESPN, they came back to studio to discuss him, and the main drawback with him was lacks elite athleticism. And Luka Doncic, same story. We've been hearing of him, seeing him since he was 13, 14 years old over in the European leagues, and he doesn't have elite athleticism either. So the 2 of the 4 best players in my estimation, arguably the 2 best. I think last year you could have made a case, Jason, that it was Jokic and Luka were the 2 best after that playoff run last year, and they lack elite athleticism. Cooper Flagg could get up to 6'10", 6'11", and I just think he's going to be that kind of guy moving forward in the NBA.
No. You've missed my point, though. I don't think you have to be an elite athlete. You have to have some elite skill. Luka, I would think, is an elite shooter. Scorer. Nikola Jokic, if I had to say, I think footwork, understanding of the game, and just competitor. He and a fearlessness. There's nobody in the NBA. It was like the Morris brothers. They don't want any real smoke with Nikola Jokic. No one really does. But what's the elite attribute that Cooper Flagg has that no one else does? Or not that no one else does, but what is his elite attribute?
I'm sorry I went a little long on my opening comment, but I was trying to make a comp between Jason Tatum, who was another 1-year player at Duke. To me, look, Tatum's 6'9", 205, Flagg 6'8", 205. Flagg is 6'9", 225. Tatum doesn't necessarily have any elite individual attribute. He's just good at all kinds of things. He's fairly athletic. He can put the ball on the floor. He can go into the mid-range. He can shoot from outside, an improved outside shooter, obviously. He shot a ton of them this year. And I just see undeniable comparisons between Tatum and Flagg. And Flagg is going to be a little bit bigger than Tatum. I think Flagg actually might be a little bit better of an athlete than Tatum. And I think at this stage of his career, not right now, but at this stage when Tatum came in after his first year at Duke and compared to Flagg, I think Flagg is actually a better shooter. And Tatum has packaged all of that into, again, 4 consecutive first-team All-NBA selections, top 6 in MVP 4 straight seasons now. I really do see a pretty good comparison between Flagg and Tatum. And will Flagg be the best player in the NBA? Maybe not. But I think he could be a Tatum where he's in the discussion like a fringe top 5 guy for 10-plus years.
So, and don't let me do, because Skap, you're great, and I don't want to do anything to undermine your confidence. And so, seriously, I say that in all seriousness. But I do want to push back. You started off, hey, they got to keep Cooper Flagg. He's LeBron James. He's Wembyamba. And now you're like, no, he's Jason Tatum. Well, okay, he's Jason Tatum. I'll go with you there. Jason Tatum's not LeBron. He's not Wembyamba. He's not Nikola Jokic. Jason Tatum's a very good NBA player who some people question whether or not he's a true number one franchise dominant, carry a team to a championship. Jaylen Brown, I believe, last year got the MVP of the NBA Finals, not Jason Tatum. And so, is Jason Tatum, if Cooper Flagg is the next Jason Tatum, then maybe you could make the argument that, hey, man, trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo and try to win now rather than Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I think, look, when I compare Cooper Flagg right now to Wembanyama, to even Luka Doncic, LeBron James, I'm really looking at what the speculation is about him coming in and what the desire to have him is from all of the other teams in the NBA right now. I'm just talking about him as a pure prospect, like standalone, not necessarily what he's going to project out to be. In my opinion, I think he will more closely compare out to a Jason Tatum. But you say people question Tatum. I'm not going to reject that notion full-heartedly. But I think the main problem with Tatum, you're right, by the way, Brown was the Eastern Conference MVP last year and the NBA Finals MVP. But the bigger question with Tatum isn't his abilities or his product, the tangible product that he shows from year in and year out on the floor. It's more so, it's odd because Tatum fancies himself a Kobe guy. He thinks he's, a big disciple of Kobe Bryant. But the main problem with Tatum has been his mentality. Does he have that killer will? He has faded a lot throughout the course of his career in games when it matters most. He really, it's an intangibility question with Jason Tatum. And there's no telling if Cooper Flagg has that or not at this point. We've really seen too limited of a sample size from him. Duke were overwhelming substantial favorites to win the NCAA championship and choked badly in that semifinal game. Just one of the worst losses I've ever seen at the collegiate level by them. So you could say that Cooper Flagg's coming in to the NBA with a little bit of a tarnish on him in that regard, though I watched that whole game and realistically Duke made 7 losing plays in the last 2 minutes of that game and Flagg made arguably only one of them. So, and in the other game, there was another tight game against Arizona where he did make several winning plays, several big shots, didn't shrink from the moment in keeping Duke alive and holding on to win that game. So really, we just have to see, does Cooper Flagg have that intangible thing, that killer mentality, that alpha will that Jason Tatum, I think, lacks, but possesses all the other skills and tools?
Well, you got a fan in my production team. Justin is texting me as we're talking. He's watched a lot of Duke games. He thinks Cooper Flagg is the white LeBron James. He can take over games like no one else. Playmaking, shooting, defense, all of it reminds me of a young LeBron James. That's a mouthful. I don't know if I see it, but you guys have watched more Cooper Flagg than I have. I want to transition, Skap. The Golden State Warriors lost last night. They got eliminated from the playoffs. They made the big move with Jimmy Butler. It got undermined with Steph getting hurt. And so they lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe 4-1. Is this the end of the Steph Curry era? Is this the end of the Steph Curry, Draymond Green combination? Where do the Golden State Warriors go from here?
I think, look, Steve Kerr is so utterly insufferable. And, but last night he was up to his old antics after talking about how the Warriors could have gone the distance this year had Steph not got hurt. It's hard to say. They do have that injury excuse. I personally think this was going to be a difficult series for them to win against Minnesota regardless. The Timberwolves were only the 6th seed this year, but they had the home court advantage over the Warriors. But see, the Warriors did, Jason, they were up double digits in game 1 when Curry got hurt. And then they ultimately go on to they still held on and blew out Minnesota in that first game that Curry got injured. And then once Curry was out of the series, they then lost 4 straight games. So, but you can kind of look back from a Golden State perspective and say, well, we could have at least got out of this round. I don't think they would have beaten either of the winner, whether it be Denver or Oklahoma City, whoever ultimately comes out of the next round. I don't think they were getting beyond the Western Conference Finals anyway, but I think there's still that remnant like could have, would have, should have if Curry didn't get hurt. I think they were so good after post-trade deadline with Jimmy Butler that I think there's going to just be this desire to see what happens if they can get into the playoffs and have a healthy run and just a full year to kind of gel together because, it's hard when you make a big trade, like an impactful team-altering trade mid-season. It's difficult to put it all together and to go the full way after that. So I think maybe just give these guys an entire season together, see if you can keep them healthy, which is a big if because they're all getting old. Like they're all into their 30s. Curry into his advanced 30s. I believe he's 37 now. His birthday's in March, which means he'll be 38 next year before the playoffs begin. So, that's a big if. Can they stay healthy into the playoffs? But I think they're probably going to make one more run at it and try to see.
Draymond comes back in your view?
I think so. I mean, look, Jason, this guy is one of the most insufferable players in NBA history, in my opinion. One of the more overrated players, actually, as well. This guy is I like to call him a triple single merchant. He's like an 8.6 rebound, 5 assists per game career guy that will have that he's an all-time great and he's going right into the Hall of Fame. He's probably not wrong about that. He is obviously most known for his defense, but more so than that, just being an irritant and really just an enforcer, one of these bully tough guys that takes it too far over the line, I think, from times. It hedges along the line from physical to dirty. He's classless oftentimes with his exchanges with fans. I don't like him. He's hurt their team undeniably. There was that issue with Kevin Durant where Durant basically left the team because of the interactions he had with Draymond Green. And then, of course, Green famously punched Jordan Poole in the face during practice in the preseason. I would have cut ties with this guy years ago. I would have gotten rid of him. I would have went to him, and when Kevin Durant became free agent and left, I would have begged Kevin Durant to stay and said, whatever you want. Do you want us to get rid of this guy because he's gone in a heartbeat? That's what I would have done. But for whatever reason, they've stuck behind him. They think he's a key element, a key cog to this dynasty. Steve Kerr, for whatever reason, continues to go to bat for him, defend him. It looks like Draymond Green has tried to fight Steve Kerr a couple times in the past, and for whatever reason, Steve Kerr continues to support him. So I think, yes, they're going to take one full additional run with the whole band together next season. It would be my estimation.
I tend to disagree with you on Draymond in terms of I think he's an awful person. I think the way he treats fans is awful. I think he's dirty. But I do think he helps set a winning tone, atmosphere. I think the guy cares about winning, competes really hard every night. And in a league where guys love to load manage, guys love to come in hungover, high, whatever, Draymond Green, when he steps out on that court, he's competing and trying to win and requires that of everyone else. I just, the personality of that team, the toughness of that team, I think that would be a soft California basketball team without Draymond Green. I do think he's been a central part of them winning and being able to sustain that winning culture for as long as they have, even though he is one of the most annoying athletes of all time.
Yeah, I think, Jason, that's a fair point. And maybe I just dislike him so much because I've never been a Warriors fan. And he's like the ultimate, you love him if he's on your team, hate him if he's not. So he's the guy that you want on your team, but you don't ever want to go against or see on the other side. So maybe that's a fair point. And maybe since I've never been the biggest of Warrior supporters, maybe that's why I just can't stand this guy.
Skap, great job as always. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Don't you guys go anywhere. I got some thoughts on Dave Portnoy and Shannon Sharpe. They were on Club Shay Shay yesterday and brought me up. And so I'll have a few things to say. I do want to remind you all, if you want to support me, you want to support what we're doing here with Fearless, please go to fearlessmission.com, use the promo code FEARLESS, and you'll save $20 right now off an annual subscription to everything we do here at Fearless, everything we do at The Blaze. If you want to support what we're doing, if you like this content, if you love the transparency and the honesty of this content, you gotta support us. And you gotta support us in a real way. It's not just enough to click. It's not just enough to watch. It's not just enough to hit subscribe. You gotta support us in a real way. Fearlessmission.com, use the promo code FEARLESS, become an annual subscriber, save $20 with that promo code FEARLESS. But don't go anywhere because I got some interesting things to say about Shannon Sharpe and Dave Portnoy next.
Of course, I never asked what we were doing or where we were going, so I just put a tie on. This is so cool. For the record, I didn't leave Fox News and go independent. Though I love that. You're such a sweet man.
Are you and Ben Shapiro going to sit down and talk on camera?
So if I had to pick a villain, I would just say I think credit card companies cause a lot more misery than the KKK.
Hey, I want to remind you all or inform you all that tomorrow on this show, we will play the full engagement, the full interview I did with Tucker Carlson on Friday, May 2nd as a part of Roll Call. You don't want to miss that full discussion. Tucker and I talk about any and everything. Tomorrow's show, we will replay that starting at 10 a.m. Central Time. If you weren't able to make it to Roll Call, if you're not a Blaze subscriber, it's been available for Blaze subscribers for 10 days now. But tomorrow, we will play the full Tucker Carlson interview. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. That will be tomorrow's show. You don't want to miss that. Jason Whitlock, Tucker Carlson, a live hour and 20-minute interview we did here in Nashville on May the 2nd. We talk about everything from Ben Shapiro to Bill Maher to Stephen A. Smith to whether Tucker Carlson should run for president. Don't miss that tomorrow. Today, you don't want to miss the conclusion of this show. I want to play you Dave Portnoy did an interview, I think, with Shannon Sharpe around the time of the Super Bowl, and they never released the interview. And Portnoy complained about it. I think Shannon Sharpe was afraid of his audience. And this is how you get audience capture. It's like the audience, they don't want to hear from certain people. And Shannon Sharpe's got a pretty tribal audience. And I'm not saying that as a criticism of Shannon Sharpe, but I'm just saying he's got a pretty tribal audience that thinks that if you're not black and woke and left, you really shouldn't be on Club Shay Shay. And so Shannon, I think during Super Bowl week, interviewed close to Super Bowl week, interviewed Dave Portnoy, and then got afraid of his audience and never released the interview. And Dave Portnoy complained about the interview never getting released. Is there a problem with my mic or anything? He complained about the interview never being released, and Shannon folded and now has released the interview. I kind of get why they didn't release the interview. There wasn't a whole lot to it. It was Shannon, again, Shannon's audience may be right in terms of Dave Portnoy is very interesting, but for the Club Shay Shay audience, he's not that interesting. It's like people that like R&B music might not, and only like R&B music, might not be interested in an interview with Morgan Wallen. And it's like, well, hold on, Morgan Wallen, he's a terrific country music, rock star, whatever you want to call it. He's a terrific artist. He's interesting, but not to the hardcore R&B crowd. maybe that's what. And so when you watch this interview with Shannon and Dave Portnoy, you could just see like, this is Donnie Simpson. Was Donnie Simpson the host of Soul Train, or was he? Am I screwing this up? I'm getting old. Donnie Simpson. He was an American broadcast. Was he? I don't want to screw it up and say, yeah, he was the host of Soul Train. Yeah, my memory's not terrible. And so it was like watching Donnie Simpson do an interview with, again, Johnny Cash. It's like, Donnie Simpson's terrific and he's great on Soul Train, but he's not the guy to interview Johnny Cash. We need someone else. So the highlight of the Shannon Sharpe, Dave Portnoy interview, according to Club Shay Shay, because they released the clip of Portnoy taking a shot at me. And it seemed like this was baited or rigged up. It wasn't an organic conversation. There was no natural segue to this. But anyway, let's play the clip of Dave Portnoy taking a shot at me.
But you also, like, Jason Whitlock came for you. So how do you feel about...
He's a clown. Jason Whitlock's a clown. Jason Whitlock is on the record as being, I love Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy is the best. He's this. Jason Whitlock is a click-chasing clown.
Oh, really? You don't say.
Yeah, he's out there calling that girl, what do you say, big, like, butter, sugar, skin, big...
peanut butter skin, and with that rack
in the next sentence, he said that. Like, what are you talking about?
Have you ever met him?
Never. You know what? He knows my name. He's gotten me a couple times, to his credit, but he's just fishing. He's taking his little pole. He's like, maybe he'll bite and I'll get some clicks.
Right.
I try to ignore it. I tell people, actually, don't send me bad stuff about me because I have a hard time ignoring it. I don't even want to know it exists.
But you do realize that when you respond to people that take shots at you, you're giving them content. They're lazy because they can't create 100%. Content on their own. So let me hope he can feed me.
Yeah, and my Achilles heel is I don't give a f. It's like I know I'm being played here. I know he's getting clicks, but this guy, I mean, he's a clown.
So that's Portnoy taking a shot at me. Shannon Sharpe knew it was going to happen. One thing I do want to correct before I go further is I got the wrong Donnie. Don Cornelius hosted Soul Train. Donnie Simpson hosted Video Soul. Let me correct the record. I know I'm getting slaughtered in the chat. I know my email's about to blow up. Don Cornelius, not Donnie Simpson, hosted Soul Train. So now that I've distracted myself and with that correction, I want to replay so that I'm locked in on my response here. I want to replay this exchange between Dave Portnoy and Shannon Sharpe as they talk about me. Play the clip again.
But you also, like, Jason Whitlock came for you. So how do you feel about...
He's a clown. Jason Whitlock's a clown. Jason Whitlock is on the record as being, I love Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy is the best. He's this. Jason Whitlock is a click-chasing clown.
Oh, really? You don't say.
Yeah, he's out there calling that girl, what do you say, big, like, butter, sugar, skin, big...
peanut butter skin, and with that rack.
In the next sentence, he said that. Like, what are you talking about?
Have you ever met him?
Never. You know what? He knows my name. He's gotten me a couple times, to his credit, but he's just fishing. He's taking his little pole. He's like, maybe he'll bite and I'll get some clicks.
Right.
I try to ignore it. I tell people, actually, don't send me bad stuff about me because I have a hard time ignoring it. I don't even want to know it exists.
But you do realize that when you respond to people that take shots at you, you're giving them content. They're lazy because they can't create 100%. Content on their own. So let me hope he can feed me.
Yeah, and my Achilles heel is I don't give a f. It's like I know I'm being played here. I know he's getting clicks, but this guy, I mean, he's a clown.
So I'm shocked that, one, they pushed this out there as a clip and to make the video go viral or whatever. And I'm a click-chasing clown. And again, I know that's Portnoy saying that. And Club Shay Shay, Shannon's team, click-chasing or whatever, promote him taking a shot at me. There's no substance to what's being said here about me. A click-chasing clown. And again, it's not that I'm above criticism, but like if you're going to criticize me, there's some substantive things you could criticize about me. You could say, again, and I would respect this criticism. I would disagree with it and just say I have a different set of values. But if Dave Portnoy wanted to say, like, Jason Whitlock, he doesn't have the same business values or the same business acumen or commitment to making money that I have. If Dave Portnoy wanted to, and I'd be, yep, he's 1,000% right. I have a different set of values and a different goal and end game than Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy is totally driven by the desire to be rich and famous. That is not my total desire. I'm like most people. I want to live comfortably. I want to make money. I'm in this business where, getting attention is good. But I'm just not driven by that. And I'm driven by a desire to be authentic at all times. And when I watched this clip, what I saw was a lack of authenticity. And I saw two guys, particularly Portnoy, trying to sound tough. And, Jason Whitlock's a clickbaiting clown. Look, I'm going to stand up to Whitlock. And what I'm going to say is going to go viral, me calling him a clickbaiting clown. And he's clearly frustrated by me. But it's the lack of authenticity that is most telling here. Why not address this head on? Why not, why not Shannon just say, hey, man, I got a real problem with Jason Whitlock. He's been critical of me. Dave, I've seen he's been critical of you as well. Do you know, what's your thoughts on Jason Whitlock and guys like him that, and this is what Shannon believes, this is not true, but what Shannon should have said is, I think Jason is jealous of my success at Club Shay Shay. I think he thinks that athletes shouldn't be in the same lane and having success in the media space when Jason Whitlock went to school for journalism, never played professional sports, and he's bothered that someone like myself is having this kind of success in his lane. Keep it real. That's a legitimate comment thought. It's inaccurate, but it's a reflection of what Shannon actually thinks. Shannon thinks I'm jealous of him. Shannon thinks that I'm bothered that he's a former professional athlete and he's having all of this legacy media and podcast media success, and he thinks I'm jealous of it. Just say that. Just say that would be authentic. And then Dave Portnoy could have come in and said, yeah, that guy, if he wasn't such an idiot, he could have been making so much money. He could have been doing this or that at ESPN and Fox Sports, but he's such an idiot and he's so stubborn and so stupid, if he wanted to say that he hasn't built a Barstool Sports. He doesn't have a club. They could have had that conversation. That would have been authentic. But they're not authentic. And that's my problem with them. And Portnoy makes the same, Jason's on the record where he says I'm the best. And I have praised Dave Portnoy from time to time, and I back away from none of that. I have respect for Dave Portnoy's fearlessness in terms of building Barstool, dealing with all the criticism and backlash that he dealt with, for going against the politically correct crowd, for thumbing his nose at the establishment media, and for staying somewhat authentic to the shtick, the role that he plays. I have respect for that and have said that. I also think the guy's a sexual degenerate. I also think that the guy has this attraction to really young women that has gotten him into some trouble. I think he's defended Joy Taylor and other things that swerve into sexual immorality because that sexual immorality is important to his identity. And so I've said that. I think that Dave Portnoy has no foundational base. There's no set of values that he's really committed to other than the pursuit of money and the pursuit of sexual pleasure. And so that's why Dave Portnoy will one day jump on and say he hates Donald Trump and how dare he put a Supreme Court in that overturns Roe v. Wade. And so now I got to walk away and the Republicans have gone too far. He's on video saying this stuff. And it's like, well, hold on, why is he so upset about the overturn of Roe v. Wade? Because he's a sexual degenerate that likes to use money and possibly has paid women to abort babies. And he doesn't want anything impeding that. That's a value he respects. Child murder is a value that Dave Portnoy respects. And I'm going to go one step further here and potentially get myself into trouble. But Dave Portnoy and I, we have never met. I called Dave Portnoy one time, years ago. I think it was when they did something at ESPN, the Barstool Vans, they did some show with ESPN, and it only lasted one day. And then they got booted off ESPN. And I reached out to Dave Portnoy. This is when I was at Speak for Yourself, and I was like, hey, man, would love to have you and your guys on Speak for Yourself if you're looking for an outlet to be on corporate TV or whatever. Reached out to him, and Dave Portnoy talked to me like, I can't believe you're wasting my time calling me. He talked to me in a very condescending, dismissive way. And this is the first time I've ever said anything about it, because people have a right to be condescending and dismissive and cold if they want to. They have that right. I wasn't terribly offended, but it was noted. And it was noted like, well, damn, I'm just calling up, being friendly, making a proposition to the guy, and he was cold and dismissive to me. No problem. But I have been treated that way by a certain demographic, belongs to a certain tribe before. I've that level of condescension and treatment, there is a demographic that doesn't like me, doesn't like the way I represent myself as a black man. And they get condescending and dismissive of me. And I'm not trying to generalize. I'm not trying to blame all people in this demographic, in this tribe. I'm just telling you what I have experienced. That there's something about me and my values that I adhere to as a, and I'm sorry for doing this, but as a black man, that this certain demographic, this certain tribe, a Jewish tribe, there's a way they respond to me that I've been dealt with. I can't say it's all of them, because it's not. But there is a pattern. There's something about me. And maybe it's me. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I treat them in a way that they find off-putting. I don't think that's my nature, and I could start rattling off all the names of people from that tribe that I've treated very well and had good relationships with, have defended publicly. But so I'll just leave that there and say that I find Dave Portnoy occasionally very inauthentic. I found this conversation between he and Shannon Sharpe very inauthentic. I find it was set up. There's no substance to it. And I find Dave Portnoy, there's parts of him that I respect about what he built at Barstool and the people that he's, his evaluation of talent and promotion of Big Cat and some of these other people that have been successful. Hats off to Dave. But there's other parts of Dave that I find repulsive and find, childish for a 48-year-old. And I talk about those things. And the criticism I just leveled at Dave Portnoy, anybody that's listened to this show has heard me level criticisms about myself that are just as transparent and just as harsh. So there's that. As it relates to Shannon Sharpe, again, and Shannon Sharpe, I'm a mystery to Shannon Sharpe. I'm not jealous of Shannon Sharpe. Anybody that's listening to this show has heard me praise Shannon Sharpe and what he's accomplished with Club Shay Shay. That this is actually a better version of Shannon Sharpe than the Shannon Sharpe who was at Fox Sports 1. And I used to know Shannon Sharpe when he was an NFL football player, and I found his entire act and gimmick at Fox Sports 1. I found it embarrassing. I found it buffoonish. I found it somewhat offensive for Shannon Sharpe to be playing the role of this ghetto, drunken, weed-smoking, race-baiting clown at the behest of Jamie Horowitz. I found it offensive. I found it unmanly. But I wasn't in Shannon Sharpe's position. I didn't have all the baby mama problems that he's got. He needed a check. He needed to survive. So he was willing to put on the clown shoes that Jamie Horowitz bought him. But since moving on from FS1, you've sat here and heard me praise Shannon Sharpe and what he's accomplished at Club Shay Shay. I like the chemistry between he and Ocho. I think Nightcap is a fun show. However, as I told you guys and alluded to, like, Shannon Sharpe's got an HR file, and Shannon Sharpe's got some sexual deviancy warts and behavioral warts that are problematic, and they will eventually come to the surface. And I get Shannon's upset with me because Shannon does his best to keep my name out of his mouth. I don't know why he found this situation irresistible to talk about and comment on, but Shannon, I couldn't care less which way you go on this. I'd actually prefer for you to keep talking about me, but I would suggest to you that you're not, because there is a level of smoke and journalism that comes along with me. That I'm not a fake tough guy. And the reason I say that is because I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm 58 years old. But if you want to get in a verbal war, a substantive war with me back and forth about who we are and what level of comfort we have with who we actually are, that's a battle you cannot win, Shannon. You are best taking your advice and leaving me alone. I know way too much, and I'm so comfortable with myself, all of my flaws, that you just going toe-to-toe with me verbally would be a mistake. You would lose badly. The same way Dave Portnoy would lose. You're not authentic. I'm standing on a foundation of truth and a biblical worldview. And I'm transparent about myself. There's nothing about me that you can reveal that I won't cop to or haven't already copped to. Can you say the same? So, just wanted to set the record straight. I'm sure these guys will post some sort of, we make a little 60-second, 2-minute comment about Whitlock, and he did a whole 12, 15, 20 minutes on us. Yes, I did. Thank you for the content. And if you guys want to continue to have this discussion, I'll be more than happy to have it. I love the content, love exposing people that are inauthentic and helping them along on their journey. I do want to reiterate this, Shannon in particular. And I say this to Shannon because, and not Dave Portnoy, because I don't believe Dave Portnoy believes Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior. So, I'll pray for Dave, but I'll make an offer to Shannon because I do believe Shannon has a biblical upbringing and has some biblical values. If you ever decide that you want to be more authentic, come up out of the fraudulence and the fake little ghetto role, and you're struggling here with this woman that's suing you, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other women that are bilking you for money, would love to offer you any kind of guidance, help, prayer. And I know your instincts are to reject it, but I mean it in all sincerity. I think Shannon Sharpe is a good person that has some demons, We all have demons. You heard me talk about it at the beginning of the show. But for the grace of God, there go I. I could be Bill Belichick. I could be out here in a little public relationship with some 20-something, just like any other idiot. But Shannon, if you want some advice, some help, some prayer, some counseling, genuine friendship that will walk you away from the sexual debauchery, running around with the gay stylist, all this other craziness, nonsense you've done, chasing money and fame. There's something more than money and fame that does not require you to run around with a gay stylist and to have your children having to deal with rumors about you and a gay stylist. There's a better way, and I would love to point you that way, and hell, maybe you could help me out. Who knows? But anyway, we'll end the show there. We'll play tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to Tucker Carlson and I interview tomorrow. In 10 minutes, I'll be on the Harmony channel talking about the race bait that's being thrown around as it relates to Derek Chauvin and Carmelo Anthony. We'll do all that next.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I wanna be. I wanna be.